Preparing for my 5th Sorare season. It's been a pre-season unlike any other that's gone before it because we've had a complete remodel, we've had a complete redevelopment on the SO5 arena in terms of where leagues and clubs are structured, the competitions they can play, how much money and where the money can be won, as well as the biggest and best cards. We now have boxes, which is just random opportunities for anyone on the leaderboard to really get in amongst with some good card rewards, as well as Essence, which almost guarantees that virtually every player that can get into the top spots regular throughout the season will be able to produce a decent enough card when it's all said and done. And a lot of these changes have had the writing on the wall for a number of months. I think I can track all of this stuff all the way back to really when the collection bonus was first brought out, because for me, that was the first point where I had to make some really tough decisions on cards that I loved versus the cards that I kind of should have. And when I think about that, the very first thing that comes to my mind is having to let go of my Benfica Jota card, having to let go of my Vissel Kobe Kyogo card, as well as one or two other ones to get ones in Celtic jerseys to get them to all match the same collection, which is kind of fine. But when I've got that Jota card from when he was an unknown, then breaking into the Celtic team, winning me stuff and all the rest of it, I feel like the actual card, I really didn't want to let it go. I maybe could have kept it, but anyway. And for Sorare managers and scouts that have been here since before the latest version of Sorare and have had to, navigate the choppy waves of reforming their gallery and having to, fill different gaps that they never had before and make some tough decisions on some cards they love versus some cards that they really, really need. And in the video today, guys, probably the card I've loved the most is left the gallery. And we're going to be talking about who that is, why, what he did for us, and ultimately what I'm going on to do with the proceeds of it. At any point in the video today as we get set for the biggest season ever on Sorare, the 24-25 season. If you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel, share and retweet and all that good stuff, guys. And get into the comment section on this one and let me know, what do you think about this series of events? Is it a W? Is it an L? I'll be really interested to catch the comment section on this one, guys. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, I know what you're thinking after that intro. You've been sitting there thinking, oh, what card does Quinny love the most that's now left his gallery? And do you know what? There's actually been a few heartbreaking departures at FC Barcelona over the last week or two. I've brought in a few cards in terms of trades and all the rest of it, but not the guy we're featuring in the video today, but a big heartbreaking departure that we had was the super rare Jordan Larson. We spoke about this somewhere recently, I think it was a live stream, and he's now in the possession of Sorare Down Under, which is lovely to see that he's still in the kind of, the community, as it were, and it's, he's with a club that will appreciate him for his history and for the good luck that he brought me, certainly. So it's a fond farewell for Jordan Larson, but that's not who we're talking about. Some of you might even have guessed Ivan Illich, who is a super rare that I've been in love with. It's a guy that's done me pretty well over the most part, but I bought this guy the day after I got married, and I kind of, I've always kind of liked him for that. We've got the same birthday as well, which is super cool. Obviously, he's like 10 years younger than me or something, at least, if not 15 or something. And, he's moved to Zenit. Really good move for him, but it doesn't serve me any purpose at all. But the card that has departed the club, the one that is no longer with us, is one of the ones that is one of my biggest W's on Sorare. It's one of the cards that when I got it, I just couldn't believe my luck. I couldn't believe that I got it in for really what I felt at the time was a really affordable price, really fit with my gallery really well, and it won me a bucket of rewards. But the way the game has went since the super rare division has been like shelved as it used to be, playing one unique in there isn't quite the same as what it once was, and the whole, moving up into the unique scarcity has really been cut off for me. I've let go of Edward, I've let go of Ivan Martin, and maybe somebody else. I'm sure I had another unique kind of turnover in the last year or so, and I'm talking, of course, about Captain Callum McGregor. Now, this card was the first unique I got in when the Celtic announcement was made on Sorare that the SPFL, that Celtic were coming on. I tore my gallery to shreds to fill my wallet up so I could get the cards I wanted into my club as soon as possible, and I could really, live the Celtic fan life on Sorare, as it were, and I could be one of the forerunners. I could be one of the guys with the only Celtic stacks that were kind of going at the time, and I could have had a bit of an edge on the leaderboard. And this captain, and I say Captain Calmac because he's got the captain's armband on in the picture. I love it so much. It's not 3D, so we can't really twist it or turn it or anything like that. But his pre-sale, his early access card for the upcoming season, recently auctioned for just over an ETH, which is where I've had this card listed for the last number of months, and I've, to be quite frank with you, not had a sniff, barely had any communication, any direct offers, any reach outs around the card or whatever, and any ones that I did have were just way below the mark. But like we've seen with all the early access cards, they have been going for significant multiples on what the old season classic cards were going for, so I think Matt O'Reilly was going for like £100 from last season, and the new season version was going for about 280, 300 or something like that. And there's been a few more wacky multiples across some different scarcities or whatever. But when I seen the unique McGregor go for an ETH, I'm thinking straight away to myself, that probably is circa a 2x multiplier on what really probably any of these whales are going to pay for him. And that is pretty much the way it shook out. I got an offer for half an ETH flat. And again, guys, just to be straight with you, I'm not a hard-nosed trader. I can make some hard-nosed moves, and I've done some pretty good trades in my in my Sorare career to this point, but I was not in the mood for looking a gift horse in the mouth. I wasn't going to try and play funny buggers and penny pinch and try and squeeze our card in. I just thought it was a pretty fair offer. It came in at the right time. And really, the last video we did on the channel, I was looking at my champion rare collection, and there's so many nominally priced players that I can go and pick up and refurbish my squad with that would make a bit of a difference, and it would give me a bit of a chance to maybe make a wee bit of a cash out. But before we get to that, Callum McGregor, I got this guy as soon as he was auctioned off, right? But I didn't actually get him from auction himself. I actually had to buy this guy on the secondary market. A really big account on Sorare called You Never Walk Alone, or YNWA, a big Liverpool collector, surprise, surprise. Picked this card up for 1888 Ethereum on auction, and I really couldn't believe how cheap it went. I had a wallet that could have won it, and I didn't bid on it because I just thought he would have outbidded me, but he was like flying or something, and the bids never went up. But anyway, I reached out to him after the auction closed and said, is there any chance you would sell that to me? And he said, on one condition, I want your number one first edition, first like rookie card, 1 of 100, Martin van der Voort. I'll give you a normal van der Voort, and you give me the amount I paid for the McGregor, just face value, and we can do the trades, and I can get that rookie van der Voort into my squad. So we had to do it over 2 different deals, but essentially here, van der Voort rookie leaves with 1.88 Ethereum, and we brought in the Calmac. Now, to this day, that is the most expensive card I have ever bought on Sorare. And I've been here when Ethereum has been it's been pretty expensive. I've had some pretty expensive cards coming through the gallery, but I very rarely actually part with that much money. I'm pretty good, I like to think, at negotiating my way around the market and turning lemons into lemonade, or taking some trash and turning it into treasure, however you want to think of it as. So, I was super happy when I got this. I really couldn't believe it. Unique McGregor, the only one on the platform. There's now 4 in circulation as I speak to you now. And, I went and got a super rare Dyson, I went and got a super rare Kyogo, I went and got a super rare Taylor, Rio Hitate, I played a rare Joe Hart because you could do that back then, and this McGregor just did not disappoint. One of the great things about Callum McGregor, Captain McGregor, is he plays every game for Celtic, and he doesn't ever really do a bad score, but he can hit the peak ones, and sometimes his good scores aren't that great necessarily. Now, I've sold every one of these rewards with the exception of Steve Mandanda, who's still in the squad. He's still a playing goalkeeper, would you believe it? And if we look at the middle column here, total value then, because I sell these cards or trade them out certainly very quickly from winning them. None of these guys hung about for too long at all. McGregor has got a great tail of the tape here. So you might want to exclude this half an ETH or whatever, the total value on the day for Steve Mandanda. And if you look at a lot of these super rares that he won me, not a lot of them are household names. Some of them were pretty good SO5 players, but not that many of them were that great. We were just regularly getting into the prize place pots with him. And sadly, just because of how crap Kyogo was this year, or maybe Hitate was injured, I was mixing and matching. I didn't always have big heyday wins with him, but we did have a few. We finished third. We got podiums enough times to get significant cards like Willie Nonto, Carlo Holsa when he was back at Rosenborg. Mickey van der Hart was a playing goalkeeper for a minute. And there's a few other guys. William Balakwisha, not the one that's linked to Celtic, but his brother. And of course, he helped me win my Celtic Kyogo, which as soon as I won that, I sold my Vissel Kobe Kyogo, and that just felt fine. That felt good. A total, we still have the Kyogo, so he's worth 1.2 on that day. So maybe minus 1.8. to kind of round this down, but a really decent chunk, a really decent yield. 25 cards won, a bit of Ethereum as well for a few of the podiums as we've went along the way. 1.6 in raw Ethereum, which is absolutely fantastic money on the old system, which has kind of changed now, of course. So it goes with a heavy heart. FC Barcelona will not be the same without this McGregor in the club. Same as Larson, same as Illich, same as a few other guys. It has broke my heart to trade on with. And, you know, it goes to a collector that I'm not too familiar with, Fulham FC. And I hope he continues to smash for you, pal. I really do. And one of the first moves I've went out, if you've seen the last video, the champ rare strategy, you'll see some of the footnotes that kind of fill out in this video. But I wanted to spend a couple of quid, a lot of nominal, like, card purchases to come in that wouldn't actually change too much about the money received for the McGregor, but would make a big difference to the strength of my depth and my roster. And because I just evaluated Champ Rare, I had a bunch of transfers right on the tip of my finger to go in action and bring in. And we've brought back another FC Barcelona favourite back to the club. He's been away for a long time. The very first super rare I ever owned, which only cost me 25 quid, and he was an absolute hero to the club, and that is, of course, Kieran Trippier. Now, Trippier may not do as good this season as last year, just because he's a year older, and that's just kind of how football works, essentially, but I think, you know, I'm happy to have him back. He works with an athletic collection that we've just boosted up, so he's going to get an extra 2% kicker when the 90 days work in, and hopefully we can level him up quick enough. He's at level 3, so we can, you know, probably rattle through a bunch of these quite quickly. And then it became Operation Real Sociedad, because the Sociedad collection I was doing very well with last year, and first owner status isn't totally available for these cards at the moment from like being able to click and buy or send direct offers or whatever, but I have enough of it already locked in that really just getting to the 4% marker, the 4% bonus, is all that I'm realistically going to achieve. So I managed to go into the secondary market and pick up a Martin Zubimendi, who is probably going to make a transfer out of Sociedad, which kind of works for me anyway, along with Mikel Merino, who looks to be doing the same. He'll probably leave in Sociedad this year as well. Atletico Madrid are out of the running, so it's maybe Barca or Arsenal. Arsenal have also been linked to Zubimendi, so between the two of these guys, they could go somewhere. Maybe they won't be quite the same main men figure that they are at Sociedad, but again, for the nominal fee that I've picked up for them, I'm happy to have these guys in my midfield depth and in my midfield kind of cohort for 3 teams in the Classic region, in Champion, or even in La Liga for the upcoming season. And then finally, we've got a Brais Mendes rare finally in the squad. We've had that super rare at Celta Vigo since time began, and he's just going from strength to strength. And you know, when I seen the pre-season highlights for Brais coming out, I just thought, yeah, a rare Brais makes a difference to Team 2, Team 3 for me. He's maybe not always a Team 1 guy unless he's really on fire. But along with Merino, along with Zubimendi, and a lot of the other guys that you've seen me feature in that Champ Rare video. If you didn't catch it, by the way, I'll link it at the end of this one in case you missed it. But I just felt like that was a perfect little trifecta. 3 midfielders that could come in. Maybe 2 of them move, which is brilliant if that happens. And even if not, if one of them stays, they'll play together. But it just gives me a wee bit of Sociedad cover and a little bit of non-Sociedad utility, hopefully, depending on the way the transfers shake out. I then managed to get an Odriozola for like £6 on instant buy just to cover my Hamari Traore. And again, this is a guy that if he isn't stricken with injury, he's actually a pretty handy player. He's just been really injury ravaged since leaving Sociedad for Real Madrid, and I think he maybe made a loan move to Fiorentina or something. Yeah, so he's got the potential. I really do like him, you know, but he's just been absolutely crucified by injuries. And then cherry on top of the cake for me, Real Sociedad, the collection is as good as complete for me. I've not got any goalkeepers yet, so that's maybe the only TBC part of it. But we managed to get an under 23 forward in Cho, who I was really excited about when he moved to Sociedad, who's back in France at Nice, and he might be set to have a breakout season. Under 23 for ages, and he costs like 20-25 quid. And even just on these showings in Liga and last year, since making the January move, he might be handy enough. He might help me out. And with Moussa Diaby now leaving for Al Ittihad, he maybe walks into his shoes, maybe not for under 23, but for champion. And then the last rare I went and picked up, again, another old favourite of FC Barcelona, is Benjamin Henrik. So I feel like I've got a bit more of, I've actually got a Bundesliga defender that will now start, because all my other Bundesliga defenders feel a bit ropey. Maybe 1 or 2 of them will start, but Benny here, I know he will play, and I'm a big fan of him. The super rare did wonders for me. So if you check back on that video that's linked at the end of this, if you watched it already, I went through all my collections and looked at how they're a tapestry and how they kind of do all interlink together, and how all these collections I've been building throughout my time on Sorare now that I've kind of maximized into them should give me an edge, should give me a differential on the leaderboard, which will make a big difference. The only two players that I mentioned in that video that I could still go and get, but I'm really holding back on because I think the prices might tumble a little bit when early access champion cards come out, is Bruno Guimaraes and Dominic Szoboszlai. And I think if I can sew both of those guys up quickly enough into the club, then really, like, wow, my champion setup is good to go. I'm still a wee bit light on forwards, but like you've seen before, I'm happy to roll with the punches. And as I say that, I'm going to pick up a Barenashea because there is really strong rumours linking Take Kubo to Liverpool, which would help me out a lot. And I think that puts Barenashea into the best 11. So that is now firmly 110% the Sociedad rare collection capped off for this season. And that all came, guys, from winning the Take Kubo. I didn't have any Sociedad cards. I had no idea about trying to get any. And now, like, I feel like I've got forwards, I've got defenders, I've got mids and rare right from this collection that could help me, not just at Sociedad, but a few other clubs this season as well. So pretty buzzing to get that completed out. To get Jordan Larson in, we brought in Saul Niguez, just to kind of touch on that for a second. And I did also manage to get a jersey swap finally done with Pavel, so I could get this Oyarzabal super rare to match up with my Hamari Traore and my Barenashea, which is great. But with the Callum McGregor money, because my heart is breaking to see him go, there was a few transfers I wanted to make to bring in. And just right before I'd done this McGregor deal, like I just showed you, I brought Sol in to reinforce my champion rare mid because he's moved to Seville. But I'd also just traded my Liam Scales super rare straight swap for John Pacheco, who is a centre-back I've got a lot of faith in, is going to replicate these types of scores over the next season now that Robin Lenormand is left Sociedad for Atletico Madrid. So the two primary areas, and I've got a super rare video about to come out so you can see what I'm doing there. We spoke about it on stream, and I think my super rare strategy is a really good one for people to see, like, the first beginnings of a team. Now, I know this isn't the first beginnings of a super rare team, but because my budget is restrained as well as like the actual card availability, so the profile of players I'm bringing in aren't all completely optimal, but they're all pretty handy, and it's a great example of, if you're playing in limited or rare, the sort of players you could bring in that could go together to get some decent scores. And the two main areas when I feel the weakest was in defence and in attack. We won't talk about attack for today because it doesn't really influence the video at all, but Checo coming in was brilliant for me. And our centre-backs are just a wee bit more reliable than fullbacks, but I did want to bring in our fullback in, and as you guys all know, I've got a massive Girona collection, and I've been missing one of the most effective cards in that collection, and I managed to bring him in this kind of sequence, and that is, of course, Miguel Gutierrez. Now, Miguel Gutierrez is a player I've been so excited about since he was like 18 or 17. He was coming off the bench for Real Madrid, and he really caught my eye. I can't remember the games or whatever specifically, but it was just as Camavinga had moved to the team, and Real Madrid were really thin. They've been really thin as a squad for a while, but they were using some younger players coming through. And Miguel, for the couple of sub-appearances he made, I thought, that's a guy I'm going to pay attention to, I'm going to follow. And since he's been at Girona, he's been a really hard super rare to get because he can spike some big-ass scores. He is a really effective playmaker, left wing back, left back, however you want to think of it. He can kill your game week, of course, but he is a proper scorer of a fullback. Really gets into the box very often. And as you can see here, there's a few killer scores that let you down. There's a lot of scores that don't get you on the podium here, but he does have those podium-capable scores, those big spikes, those big peaks. And, an absolutely fantastic card for me to bring into. That'll be one of the next strategy videos that I cover here on the channel, is like what I'm doing for Champion Super Rare and how I think in terms of the angle of approach you now need to take for the Champion region as well as any of the league-specific competitions. I kind of brushed on it in terms of the rare strategy that I've got, and we've spoke about a little bit in the video today. But with rare being a lot more congested than certainly super rare has a few different dimensions to it that aren't completely applicable to the other scarcities further down, but these things will show themselves in every scarcity at some point. It's just that it's super rare, they maybe get felt more often or more regular, and it's maybe once in a blue moon or a real dice roll if it ever happens at rare or limited or anything like that. So stay tuned to the channel for that as well, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please let me know what you think about all this sequence of events. Is your heart broken for me? Do you think I did okay there? And whatever else in between. And I say on top of this, guys, as you can see, if you've been counting the incoming transactions and seeing what they are, there's a lot of loose change left over, and that's just going into a swift withdrawal for me and Mrs. Quinn. It's our anniversary next month, so we'll have a good one thanks to Callum McGregor, and thanks to the Roll of Honour that he's left the club. We've had a great time while he's here, and like I mentioned before, the club will not be the same without him. But as we move into the 24-25 season, I just don't have any space for those Celtic Super Rares that unique. I just will not be playing that region. So adapt or die kind of with those cards. You know, I'm not just going to sit on them and they do nothing. I've got to get them moving. I've got to get them turned into something that I can either pocket or I can make use of on the leaderboard itself with the strategies that I do have up and running and ready to cook for this season. On screen now, guys, is some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content like this. Get into the comment section, W's or L's, let me know. Stay out of trouble, and I will catch you on the next one.